The dead Sakapetha, derelict, drifted through dead space like a forgotten coffin. No transponder, no faction code, no radiation leak, no heat signature. A ghost ship, pre-imperial design, older than most star empires now alive, and valuable beyond measure. That was why the Huntresses came. 10 of them, from different clans, different species. Different systems at war with each other just a year earlier, now they shared a single purpose: claim the ship, kill anyone who stands in the way. First boarding craft slammed into the hull with magnetic claws shrieking like animals. Others followed in violent sequence: scarlet, blue, bone white, and black holes locking into ancient metal that hadn't felt contact in nearly a century. Inside the central docking cavity, atmosphere hissed back into existence. 10 silhouettes emerged, each one lethal, each one famous in her own territory, each one fully prepared to die. 10 Huntresses of the Red Claw stepped forward, first 6 feet of muscle wrapped in layered bone steel armor. Ritual scars burned along her arms in glowing war script. Ilix the Void Dancer, insectal and thin, her blades folded into her forearms like mantis talons. Braca of Volker, a gravity berserker, whose gauntlets could crush armored tanks. Seraphine, the pale, silent sniper queen of the moons. 2 Serati twins, winged, venomous, fast enough to outrun plasma. Nixa, the Witchborn, psychic predator wrapped in living shadow. Corvesh, plated reptilian executioner. And one more. Not a huntress, just a small human girl wrapped in scavenger cloth, standing quietly near the rear. Airlock, she carried no weapon. She did not glow, she did not threaten. She only watched 3 the first. Lo Odino, one spoke. Huntresses did not negotiate over relics. They only tested reality with violence. Kaishera moved. First, her spear crossed the docking ring in a blur of controlled murder, punching clean through the throat of one Serati twin before the other could even spread her wings. Purple blood sprayed across ancient steel. The response was instant. Brachus Graviton. Fists pulverized Corvesh into the floor. Nixa ripped Seraphine's nervous system apart with psychic hooks. Lix sliced both Serati wings clean off mid-launch, and finished the second twin before she hit the ground. The air became screaming, blood and collapsing bodies. The ship did nothing. It did not seal doors, did not activate drones, did not respond. It simply waited within 30 seconds. The docking chamber was a massacre. Only 3 remained standing: Kaishera, Braca, and the small human. Girl, unharmed, unmoved. 4. You hid while warriors died, Braca. Turned toward the girl, gravity cores humming inside her fists. You hid while warriors died, the berserker snarled. The girl lifted her eyes. They were calm, not scared, just sad. I warned them, she said softly. Kaishera tilted her head. You said nothing. I warned them before they ever entered this system. The air shifted. Braca laughed once, then warned me. The girl inhaled, then spoke the sentence that turned Kaishera's blood into ice. Don't wake him. Your bones are too brittle. Braca raised one. Fist and her head vanished. Not exploded, not crushed. Vanished, as if reality had simply removed it. Her body fell in 2 perfectly separated halves. Something invisible passed through the air and embedded deep into the far wall with a sound like a collapsing star. Kaishera took a slow step back. What is this ship? She demanded. The girl looked toward the sealed inner chamber. It's not a ship, she said. It's a coffin. 5. The heart of the CIO, a fiend against every survival instinct left inside her. Kaishera followed the girl. The interior corridors were wrong. Not mechanical, not organic. A fusion of both. Veins pulsed beneath transparent alloy. The floor reacted to footfall like muscle. The walls exhaled faint warmth. At the heart of the vessel lay a chamber shaped like a cathedral, and at its center a human man lay sleeping on open metal. No restraints, no pod, no armor, hands folded over. His chest, Scars covered every inch of him, burns, surgical seams, crystalline implants dormant beneath his skin. He looked. Ysera felt something unfamiliar. Fear. "Who is he?" she whispered. The girl answered. "My father." 6 Project ATLAs. Her name was Mara. She had been born in a laboratory that no longer existed. Her father had not been meant to survive. He had been built. The last answer, humanity. Ever designed for extinction. Project Atlas. A biological contradiction, too. Dense for gravity to affect properly. Too reinforced for nuclear fire to matter. Too adaptive for physics to remain consistent. When the first alien empires invaded Earth's outer colonies, humanity didn't win through fleets. They released Atlas. He broke cruiser hulls with his hands, walked through neutron cannons, crushed planetary shields into singularities. The war ended in 19 days. Then humanity realized the truth. They could never control him again, so they put him to sleep and launched him into nowhere, with only his daughter, who refused to let him drift alone. 7. The last mistake. Jira did not believe legends. She attacked. Her spear struck Atlas directly. In the chest, it disintegrated into subatomic dust on contact. His eyes opened. Reality uttered. The entire chamber flexed as if space itself had blinked. Every bone in Kaishera's body shattered at once. Instant total structural failure. Her nervous system shut down before pain could even exist. She fell without a sound. Mara was thrown across the chamber by the pressure. Waven caught. Atlas sat up slowly, looked at the broken Huntress, then looked down at Mara. "Mara," said quietly. She collapsed into him, sobbing. "I told them," she cried. "I warned them." He rested his hand on her head. "You always do." 8. The Galaxy TREMBL was the ship reactivated, not with alarms, but with something close to relief. Power surged through systems dormant for a century. Outside, scavenger fleets hiding in deep shadow were erased by automatic defensive pulses they never saw coming. Across the surrounding sectors, sensors began detecting the same impossible signature. Atlas energy, pattern active. Empires that had ruled for generations initiated emergency evacuations. Warre has shut themselves down. God Emperors ordered temples opened because all of them remembered the same thing. Atlas did not conquer. Atlas finished 9. Father and Diajuch Tarmara stood beside him at the forward viewport as stars ignited beyond the glass. "They'll come for you," she said. Atlas nodded. "They always do. Are you angry?" He considered. "No," he said. "Just tired." She hesitated. "Will you destroy everything?" Atlas knelt before her. "I'll destroy only what tries to take you from me." The ship turned and accelerated. Epilogue. Brittle, Bowen Eston. Huntresses entered the coffin ship. None left, and every empire that ignored a little girl's warning soon learned what brittle bones truly meant. 10. The First. Empire 2, ANSWE, R. The Veruan. Dominion had ruled 3,000 systems for nearly 6,000 years. Their fleets had never known retreat. Their god emperors had never known defeat. Their armies were grown, not trained, engineered in stellar forges and unleashed in waves that swallowed worlds. When their deep space sensors screamed that Atlas had reactivated, they did not evacuate. They mobilized Grand Emperor Keltvor. The living son of Veruan stood upon his star throne and laughed. "One relic weapon frightens the galaxy?" He boomed, "Send me his corpse." And so the Dominion dispatched 9 extinction-class dreadnoughts, 30 war moons, 5 billion GN warriorsal, aimed at one drifting coffin ship. 11. Mara feels its COMING inside the coffin ship. The stars warped into lines of white. Mara stood at the viewport, fingers clenched. "They're coming," she whispered. Atlas already knew. He could feel gravity bending differently ahead. He could feel the pressure of massed fleets compressing the void. "They always come first," he said calmly. "The ones who believe themselves eternal." Mara turned to him. "Can they kill you?" he thought. then answered honestly, "They can inconvenience me." 12. First CONTACT the Varuan. Fleet emerged from slipspace in a formation that blotted out entire constellations. Planet killing. Cannons aligned, war moons ignited their gravity cores. Gene warriors flooded. Space and living drop pods by the millions. Coffin ship did not maneuver. It did not raise shields. It drifted forward. Like a falling leaf, Varuan opened fire. The first volley contained enough energy to sterilize solar systems. Atlas stepped outside the ship. No suit. No shield. The vacuum folded around him. The first beam struck him square in the chest. It bent curved, wrapped around his body like water hitting stone. Atlas lifted one hand, closed his fist. Space collapsed inward. 3 dreadnoughts, crushed into a single point smaller than an atom. The resulting gravity rebound obliterated 6 more. The surviving Varuan fleet fired again. Atlas stepped forward and vanished. 13. A god Bemperor meets a Mankelt. Vor never saw him enter the throne world. One moment. The Emperor was surrounded by burning starlight and chanting priests. The next. Atlas stood before the throne. The gravity of his presence alone cracked the planet's crust. Keltvor rose, radiant and furious. "You are a weapon," the Emperor thundered. "And all weapons belong to kings." Atlas looked around the throne room, looked at the crushed civilizations carved into its walls, then back at the god Temperer. "No," he said quietly, "and you mistake me for a tool." He took one step forward. The star throne folded like foil. Keltvor screamed and unleashed the full output of his stellar core. A living supernova erupted inside the palace. The planet shattered. When the light cleared, only Atlas remained. Floating in the rubble, the Varuan Dominion died in 4 minutes. 14. The warning goes. Uanashid, across the galaxy. Panic erupted. Empires fortified. Alliances collapsed. Ancient weapons were dragged from forbidden vaults, and still, one by one, the old tyrannies fell. Because Atlas did not wage war. He deleted resistance. Every fleet sent against him only demonstrated how small the galaxy truly was. Still, Mara watched every battle, and with every victory, she saw him grow quieter. 15. You're losing yourself after the 7th Empire fell. Mara confronted him. "You're turning into what they made you," she said. Atlas stood in silence before the stars. "I am only doing what always happens," he said. "They try to take. I remove the problem." Mara stepped in front of him. "You promised only to destroy what tried to take me." "They all will," he said. "Eventually." Her voice broke. "Then you'll end the universe just to keep me safe." Atlas stared at her, and for the first time since waking, he hesitated. 16. The last Tyapa the surviving empires learned. They stopped sending fleets. They stopped threatening. They built something far worse. A null existence cage. A device woven from 11 dimensions of dead mathematics, designed for one purpose: erase Atlas from causality itself. They baited him with Mara. A false distress signal, a fabricated clone core. Atlas arrived instantly. The trap activated reality. Began to tear him apart at the conceptual level. Atoms unraveled into ideas. Time tried to forget him. Mara screamed, "Father!" Atlas dropped to one knee. For the first time in his existence, it's bleeding. 17. Mara makes a CHOICHE. Ran, not away. Toward the machine. Toward the device that was erasing the only parent she had ever known. The Guardians tried to stop her. She ignored them. Her hands slammed against the control core, and she spoke the command no one knew still existed. Project Atlas. Stand down. The machine stuttered. Atlas looked up. "Marino, I don't want a god," she cried. "I want my father." The null cage shattered. The feedback pulse erased the entire enemy coalition and Atlas. Collapse. 18. A quiet UNIVRC Atlas. Slept for 1 full year. No battles, no empires falling, no stars dying. The galaxy held its breath. Mara never left his side. When he finally woke, he was weaker, finite, human again-just enough. She took his hand. "It's over," she said softly. He looked at her and smiled. 19. The Empire. That never FOU'd. For the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy went quiet. No wars. No crusades. No extinction fleets. Planets rebuilt in silence beneath unfamiliar stars. Civilizations that had lived under tyrants for millennia dared to imagine something impossible. Tomorrow, but there was one power that had not fallen. Not because it could not fight, but because it never had. They were called the Architects, not conquerors, not kings, not gods. They were the ones who designed gods. They had built the machines that shaped gravity itself. They had written the equations that allowed empires to fold space-time like cloth. They created the mathematics that later became the null existence cage. And long ago, they'd helped humanity design Project Atlas. 20. The truth. Mara never. Ed Mora sat beside Atlas as he rested. For the first time in her life, her father slept like a normal man. His chest rose and fell unevenly. His skin bore scars that no longer regenerated. He was mortal now, and the Architects had been waiting for that. The message did not arrive as a transmission. It appeared inside her mind. "We are the ones who made impossible." Mara's breath caught. "He is failing. You have broken the structure that kept him infinite." Images flooded her mind. Labs, older than empires. Equations carved into neutron stars, blueprints that bent causality into obedience. "Return him to us. We will repair him." Mara stood up shaking. "No," she whispered. "If you refuse, the instability will grow. You will die." Slowly she looked back at Atlas, and the universe finally gave her something worse than monsters. A choice. Without violence. 21. The WAKNS's Atlas felt it before she spoke. "My body feels wrong," he admitted quietly. Mara sat beside him. "They can save you," she said. He studied her face. "And you don't trust them. They made you like a weapon." He nodded once. "And you made me human again." The ship drifted between uncharted stars as silence swallowed them. "If you go to them," Mara whispered, "they'll make you infinite again. Would that help you sleep at night?" "No, then I already have my answer." 22. Architects revive. They did not arrive in ships. They arrived as geometry, space folded into perfect shapes that had no right to exist in 3 dimensions. Light fractured into colors no human eye should process. Reality began running calculations just to remain stable. Atlas rose weakly to his feet. Mara stood in front of him. "Please," she said, "don't make him a god again." The Architects manifested as towering figures of shifting equations. "He is collapsing. Entropy is winning. You made him finite." Atlas stepped forward. "For the first time in my existence," he said, "I am allowed to end." The Architects paused. That alone shook entire star clusters. "You are the last perfect weapon. Without you, the next extinction will succeed." Atlas looked at Mara, then let them survive on their own. 23. The final offer. If you refuse restoration, the decay will accelerate. Your atoms will reject causality. Pain will not stop. Atlas smiled faintly. "I've only ever lived in pain." Mara grabbed his arm. "You don't have to die." "I do," he replied gently. "Because gods never stop killing." The Architects made one final calculation. "Then we will take the girl. She carries your termination authority." Before Mara could scream, the universe screamed first. Atlas moved, not with infinite force, not with GODHOO. With choice point 24A, man strikes Behoth. The Architects had never fought a being that did not rely on their equations. Atlas had been rewritten by Mara's command. Not infinite, not absolute. Unpredictable when the Architects attempted to bind him in dead math constraints. He tore through logic itself. Each strike destabilized layers of dimensional authority. Entire mathematical realities collapsed into static. The architects recoiled as the rules they had authored turned against them. For the first time since time began, the architects were being injured. They retaliated. They erased Atlas. From probability, they fragmented his timeline. They attempted to reverse his creation retroactively. Atlas staggered. Blood drifted through vacuum like crimson constellations. Mara screamed his name, and he realized something terrifying. He was losing 2-5. The last DEC, ECO, and Atlas fell to one knee. Mara ran to him through a storm of shattered physics. "I can stop them," she cried. "I still have the command." Atlas cupped her face. "No," he said softly. "You already saved me once. I won't lose you. You already taught me how to live." He pressed his forehead to hers. "If you use the command, again, I'll become what I was." Her hands trembled. "Then stay and die with me," she begged. Atlas looked into the eyes of the child who had crossed the void alone. Just to keep him from drifting forever. And he made the only choice that had ever truly been his. 26. Project ATLA's final AVRID at, Liz whispered. "Mara, wake me." Her breath hitched. Tears streamed down her face. And she spoke the words that the entire universe heard like a thunderclap across existence. Project Atlas final override. Convert all remaining mass into single-release termination. Target. The architects. Atlas kissed her forehead. "I'm sorry it had to end," said. Then he smiled. "Thank you for letting it mean something." 27. The death of Godmaker Satlas did not explode. He unwound. Every atom of his being converted into cascading termination. Energy far beyond physical scale, something between annihilation and uncreation. The architects tried to flee into higher dimensions. There was nowhere high enough. The blast erased their structures, their hidden realities, their archival timelines, their backups of existence. They were not killed. They were unwritten. The force wave crossed 14 galaxies before dissipating, and when the light faded, Atlas was gone. 28. The girl who outlived Geodes the coffin ship drifted again, silent, empty. Mara stood alone at the VIEWPOR. No father behind her, no enemies ahead, just stars. For months, she did not move. For years, the galaxy rebuilt. New alliances formed. New species rose without tyrants watching. Legends faded into history, and one truth became universal law. No one ever built gods again. Epilogue Brittle Bowen-S centuries later. Group of young scavengers discovered a ruined ship at the edge of dead space. Inside, they found only an empty chamber and a single inscription carved into the floor. He chose to stop. One of the scavengers, a small girl, asked the elder with her, "Was he a monster?" The elder shook her head. "No," she said. "He was the last man who was strong enough to stop being a god. It's far beyond the stars, somewhere that no empire would ever reach." Mara closed her eyes and slept.